Welcome to the AW Confidential podcast. Many of us want success, but it means different things for each of us. It's not a one size fits all. And today's guest proves that. Mariela Dabbah, award-winning author and founder of the Red Shoe Movement, is here to flip the script on what it means to lead with purpose, power, authenticity. If you've ever felt called to redefine that hustle, this one is for you. Hello, Mariela. How are you?
Good. How are you, Yvette? It's so wonderful to be here with you. Thank you for the invite.
Of course. Thank you for taking time. I know you're a busy woman.
Like you, like all of us, but taking time for important things and to be here with you is a pleasure.
Well, thank you. So I'm gonna jump right in. I love Red Shoe Movement. I mean, it's empowering, it's powerful. The color red alone is a powerful color. I know for me, when I feel when my energy feels low, I intentionally wear something red, whether it's a lipstick, a top, something, because it really does give me this empowering, this powerful energy. It gives me a boost. So I get the red. I love it. Now, you have built this movement that champions women redefining their professional paths. How has your personal definition of success evolved over time?
So, first of all, I agree with you that red is super
Yeah.
empowering and it gives you a lift. And that's probably the reason why we actually developed this movement. The Retro Movement is initially a company, it's a leadership development company, and it's powered by a global community of professionals who support each other for career success. But it's a movement, like you said. And we have initiatives like Red Shoe Tuesday, where every Tuesday everybody wears red shoes to work so that we can continue talking about how do you level the playing field for everybody. The movement started and the company started from my book that I wrote called Find Your Inner Red Shoes, which is about success. And it's about defining what success means for you, separate from what everybody else thinks that you should consider success or how you should consider yourself successful. So for me, it has always been living aligned with what fulfills me. So I had many different lives because I get bored pretty quickly with things. So I have started I've been in the US for 37 years. I'm originally from Argentina. So initially I started in the book industry selling books to schools. I evolved into being developing programs for parents so that they could get involved in their children's schools, then developing workshops for the parents and for the students. I became a speaker. I became a writer, a nonfiction, very successful writer. And so every time there was something else. So at some point it was like, okay, publishing my first book, that will feel successful. Okay. Then it's like finding opportunities to speak about what I write, that will feel successful. And then you keep on tweaking and adjusting so that you're always feeling, at least for me, I'm always feeling that I'm aligned with what really makes me feel that I'm impacting and I'm feeling fulfilled.
So, and I'm glad you brought this up because you've had different periods of success. But you went from, creating, these books for educational purposes. Then you went to fiction. Then you went to creating the Red Shoe Movement. So, what were these moments like when you felt like, okay, it's time for shift, time for shift? How do you know?
So you start feeling stagnant. First of all, the breaking point was I used to work at a book company, and then my ex-husband and I purchased the book company and created a whole division for parental involvement, and we were growing, and it was wonderful. Then I got divorced. So suddenly I don't have a company anymore. I don't have a house anymore. I don't have a career anymore. It's like everything was joined with in that marriage. So I had a breaking point where I had to kind of find myself again. And I had a transition moment where I decided, okay, what are my skills? What can I survive on until I invent my next stage? And I decided to start teaching Spanish in a corporate context where people were using Spanish and they did not speak it. So I created, for example, medical interpreter programs, because a lot of hospitals and clinics were using all of their personnel, their janitors, their nurses, people who had no idea of medical Spanish to translate because they were Spanish speakers. So I created this program. I started targeting corporations and clinical and hospital organizations. And I did that for a while. And that felt great. And I was helping a lot of people. And eventually I'm like, okay, I need to move to my next level. So I started focusing on writing, and I started writing my first book. And then I got I pitched it in a conference and I got a contract and I got it published. So then I started little by little becoming a speaker. So there are moments in your life when there are breaking points where you need to change focus, change direction. It came a point in which I had been in the education space for many, many years. And I wrote a book called Latino Advantage in the Workplace that allowed me to start working in corporations. So that was a complete shift. And then when I started working in corporations for many years, I realized, you know what? We need to talk to women differently. They're going through different challenges. So I started focusing on women. So that's when I wrote the book for women and the company for women, and everything became about, helping women. So there are moments, whether it's life throws you a curveball, like a divorce, or you tropezar, you trip over something, that it becomes, okay, this is going to be my next goal,
Yeah.
my next mission.
Well, I'm glad you said that because that stumble, that, sort of moment for me, I know my divorce was a huge shift. It triggered the depression. From the depression, came the book. From the book, the platform. From the platform, the pod. So there were moments, that I particularly remember the moments. And I think what you're referring to is those life pivots, right? That we have. And I know for me, when I feel stagnant, I start asking myself questions. I start doing that self reflection. Or sometimes you need a bat over the head to figure out, okay, it's time for me to shift. Because sometimes fear is something that that hinders us so much sometimes. But you kind of just went full speed ahead.
But don't think that it wasn't without challenges. So
Okay.
I do, people like to say, "Oh, you're fearless." I don't think I'm fearless. I think that I do things despite my fears, despite my discomfort.
Mhm.
Like right now, we're in a situation where nobody knows what's going to happen. Everybody's living with uncertainty.
Mhm.
Everybody's a little bit anxious, a little bit depressed, a little bit frozen, and nobody knows where's the exit. How do we get there? So that exit is your success. Why? Because in Spanish, it's easy to see that the word éxito has the same root as the word exit. So you can quickly understand that exit and éxito, your success is your exit. What makes you feel fulfilled and happy? Where can you offer the best value? And so right now, instead of being paralyzed, I'm trying to look for alternatives. How can I help people who are paralyzed get over
Mhm.
their paralysis? Because that will help me too, right? And this has
Absolutely.
happened throughout the last 20, 30 years. So 9/11, everybody got frozen. The markets collapsed. You didn't know if you were going to have a job or not, if the economy was going to tank or what.
Yeah.
Then 2008, we had the huge global economic downturn again. And at each one of those turning points, and don't let me get started with the pandemic, right? All of
Yeah.
those moments put you in a situation where you could either freeze, fight, or flight. And I
True.
decide I'm going to fight. So I go through a period, like you were mentioning with your divorce, where I have to do a lot of introspection. I need to take my time. I get sad, I get down, I don't want to talk to anybody, I want to be in my head for a little bit. I read a lot. I try to find something that inspires me. I find podcasts like yours to listen to and motivate me and engage me. And I start writing. And then little by little on my own time, things start getting clearer and clearer. And that's when you can come out and say, okay, I'm ready for the next challenge. This is what I'm going to do.
Ah, that sounds so familiar. Thank you for sharing that. Now, one of the things that I want to just touch on is, as women, I think men go through it, but I think it's different. Many of us are chasing that external validation. And we don't ask ourselves what truly fulfills us. And I know that I struggled with it. I was trying to make everyone else happy. I was trying to, it was like, I want to please, I want to please. I wanted to felt seen and validated. And I never asked myself, wait a minute, what makes me feel fulfilled? So I'm glad you mentioned that. How do you help others? And particularly, because I'm a woman and you're a woman, I want to talk about it from that perspective. How do you guide women to strip away the noise and define success on their own terms? Because I think this is so important, especially now.
It's a process. The first thing I think we need to do as women and with women is to help them, if they're not there yet, to gain confidence in their voice, in the fact that what they feel is real, that they have the experience and they have the knowledge and that they are enough, so that they don't need to go out pleasing others because they feel I'm not enough unless I get somebody else's validation, right? So you need to have your own internal voice that you listen to, not the noise, the voice that says to you, I'm not comfortable here. I really am not growing. I'm not happy. I'm not feeling engaged. I don't want to get up in the morning. So that voice you need to listen to because it's telling you you're not walking in the right on the right path, right? So you're going to need to tweak, twist, turn, do something. So the next thing is going to be, okay, let's start exploring things that are new, that are completely out of the norm. Let's go start visiting museums, start visiting galleries, listen to music that pumps me up, listen to new
Yeah.
music that I've never heard, watch some series on Netflix or, Prime Video that are completely different from what I normally watch. Let's read some books that I never read, or podcasts I never hear. And with all of this very different input, some things start resonating. So maybe you're like, you know what? I always loved cooking. And I have never cooked because I never had the time. I'm going to take a cooking course. And, nowadays you can take courses internationally and you can get first rate French chefs to teach you how to make soup d'oignon. And suddenly you're having this incredible success. You're inviting your friends and you realize that what you want to really do is to have your own private restaurant at home where you welcome friends, family, and people who want to pay for you to cook for them. I don't know. So, by listening to what's not working and by exploring what things are picking you up, are picking your spirit up, are making you feel happy and engaged and with this desire to get up and to share with people what you're doing, that's how you start finding where you should go. So this whole idea of find your purpose, and it's like very abstract. I think
Mhm.
that when you're aligned with what fulfills you, that's your purpose. So instead of trying to run after an elusive idea, just figure out, when is it that I feel the happiest?
And I
Doing
think the other,
what?
well, and I think the other thing and it is valid, we were conditioned, we were raised, I know for my culture, Dominican, we were raised to get a corporate job, have the vacation once a year, have the 401k. It was the dream looked the same for all my friends and myself because that's how we were raised. But as I got older, I had my own daughter. She's now, graduated university and now I see things very differently. I feel like, wait a minute, I don't have to do things the same way, and neither does she. So I think that's the other thing. I think we have to break away from that cultural, sort of hold on us that tells us you need to do this way. I remember my mom wanted me to be a lawyer or a doctor, and anything else was a no. So I think that's also very important. So you said confidence and self-exploration, right? Or go on a journey of discovering what you like, what you don't like, what fulfills you, right?
Yes, and talk to as many people who know you as possible because sometimes
Mm.
people see things in you that you don't see. So I remember when I got divorced and I was depressed and I was in the middle of this chaotic mindset. I was young and I didn't know what to do. My entire family was in Argentina. I had emigrated here by myself with my ex-husband. I didn't know what to do. And I remember clearly as today having a conversation with a friend who said, let's go over what your skills are. You have a ton of skills. And so she first said, well, you could go, before we went through that, it's like, you can go and work as a cashier in the supermarket. And I'm like, yeah, sure, but I don't want to do that. You know, it's like, I have a graduate degree. I know that I can do more than that. So we started talking. It's like, okay, let's see what you're good at. And then we're like, okay, so why don't you teach Spanish? And I'm like, yeah, I could teach Spanish, but I don't want to do the one-on-one. So why don't you teach Spanish in corporations? I could do that. And how do I reach the corporation? So we came up with a plan. But she saw in me, she helped me see in me things that at that time, I wasn't able to see that could be valuable and that I could make a living off. And at least that's a bridge, right? Because I wasn't going to spend my whole life doing that, but it was a bridge to bring me to the next iteration of my life.
I love that. Thank you for those actionable steps. So, you have worked with women across all industries and men, correct?
Correct.
I have to point that out. What is the biggest myth women still believe about professional success? What do you see that we still believe?
I think there are a lot of beliefs. One of them is that you can really not have a family and have a successful career. That's a very ingrained belief in a lot of cultures. And the truth is, you can do it if you time it right. So if you don't try to do everything at the same time,
Well,
if
what is
you
it?
have,
I'm sorry to cut you off because I'm going to
no,
forget. What is it they say? You can have everything, just not at once.
exactly. And so the idea is if you realize that at that, you know, very early in your children's life, you want to be very involved, you need to either get a lot of support in the office so that you could take more time off, or you need to make a bargain with your company saying, for now, I want to spend the next year working at the same level where I'm at. And then after that, I will put myself up for promotions, to move, to do anything you need. And so companies like that because they see you're committed. You need to get a support group around you because that's how most men do it. Men don't have to balance life and work because they usually have a partner who's there as their balance. So either find a partner for you or find a lot of other people to support you so that you can focus also in your career and be present. If you're at home, be present at home. If you're at work, be present at work so that wherever you are, you're giving yourself 100% to that space. Because otherwise, you know, you are like in your mixed headspace, you're not going to function well in either one of those two spaces.
Absolutely. Now, what truth do you wish more of us would embrace instead?
That everything that you need to grow, you already have. You
Oh, I love
already
that.
are. You already are. So I think that we undervalue who we are because we super value, we over index in our appreciation of what we have, and you're not what you have. So what happens many times, you lose a job and then you suddenly your confidence collapses, your self-esteem collapses, you feel like you're nothing because you lost a job, because our identities are so tied in with our jobs and our careers. And the truth is that you are a very unique, valuable person just the way you are. And the way you are enough. You need to decide what do you want to do with who you are, right? And that will eventually lead you to whatever you have because of what you do. But don't equate who you are with how much you have or where you are in your career, because that's only going to hold you back.
Yo soy llorona. I'm sorry. I have to share something with you. What you said was so powerful because I remember when I was in corporate, I remember the first time I got laid off. Someone asked me, they said, are you okay? I said, no, I'm not. You know, I just lost my job and that is who I am. And I have realized that it's not, it's today I can say It's not who I am. It is what I do. And
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. Thank you
Huge,
for sharing
huge,
that.
huge
Yeah,
distinction.
yeah. Oh, wow. I don't know. That just took me back to that moment. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Now,
You're welcome.
confidence and authenticity sound simple. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
be yourself and just be confident in who you are. But they are deeply layered, as we know. What are some maybe one or two daily practices? I say two if you can share that or mindset shifts that we can, start today that are simple because I think we need simple steps to start because it just seems so overwhelming just to stay aligned with our truest best selves. Are there practices or mindset shifts we can try?
I think that you need to come up with a ritual that works for you. You know, there are no recipes. So for me, I wake up, I am very grateful in the morning. So I'll save something that I'm grateful for. I do my exercises religiously in the morning because I learned that your body and your mind should be tuned like you tune an instrument. So you don't start playing a concert, even if you're the number one violinist in the country without practicing first, without tuning your instrument first. And so we just launch ourselves into meetings and trying to work and whatever without any kind of preparation.
The
So
phone.
okay, have a ritual. Get up, have your own cup of tea in quiet or your cup of coffee, go for your walk, do your exercise, do your meditation, read a few pages, do something that puts you in the right mindset to start the day. And then make sure that you do something that religiously is empowering you by reviewing your successes up to date. So, for example, I write a lot and I will send cards to myself when I'm away. And I'll write sentiments that I want to remember. So then I can come back and I can reread them, right? So the same thing at the end of the day, you can say one thing that you did that was super positive today, that helped you help somebody else, that helped you impact a community you're trying to impact, that helped move the needle in a certain direction that you're trying to go. So if you write it, and every single day you write a paragraph or just one phrase, at the end of the week you're going to have 5 different sentences, right? If you just do it on your weekdays. And then you're going to realize, oh my God, look at all the progress I did this week. Look at how much I moved the needle towards this goal that I have or towards this mission that I have. And that builds your confidence, that builds your grounding. And instead of living in the moment so much that you forget what you've done yesterday and the day before, it allows you to live in the moment and then to look back and say, oh, I've done a lot just this week.
And I think the other thing worth mentioning is because those are great, that different things work for different people, and it's okay to try different rituals, different routines until you get to that place where you're like, okay, I can do this. This is something that I'm in tune with, I'm aligned with. And sometimes you have to change it up because I know what worked for me a year ago is not working this year. So,
You got it.
right? So
Yeah.
I love sharing lessons, and you have shared so much with us today. But I want to end with a really, I'm going to challenge you. So, looking back at your journey from author to CEO to movement maker, what is the most powerful lesson success has taught you about who you are and who you're becoming?
So it's a complex question, but
Thank you.
in a nutshell, I would say that I'm constantly evolving. And one thing that you never really notice or realize is that what you thought you wanted to do or to be when you were 20 is not the same as when you are 20, 30, or 40 or 50. Every few years, you evolve and even completely change, even though the core of you remains the same, but your interests change. Your experience and your knowledge changes. Your interest in terms of how you want to impact and your legacy is going to change.
And
And
needs.
so And it needs to, because that's how you stay growing and learning all the time. So I think the biggest learning is the fact that when you thought that what you're doing right now is what you want to do for the rest of your life, you're going to, in a few years, you're going to realize, oh, you know what, that was awesome, but now what I'm doing is even more awesome. And that allows you to continue to be fresh and to evolve and to grow and to never get bored, right? Because if you think, oh, I reached success, there's nothing beyond it, like people who reach the Everest, the top of the Everest, and then they have no idea what else to do, then it means, okay, they need to do some internal work, because you may have reached an external hit or milestone, but internally there's so much room to grow all the time. So I think the learning is there's always more room to grow so that you can continue to adjust that alignment I was talking about in the beginning to your fulfill to the need of fulfillment that you have, and continue to do those things that match that you need that you have as you age, as you grow, as you mature.
I love that. Thank you so much, Mariela, for sharing your experience, your lessons, your journey. I'm so grateful for this time with you. Can you please share with our community how do they learn more about you and the Red Shoe movement and what's coming next?
Sure. So they can reach me in all platforms as Mariela Dabbah, Dabbah. And the Retro Movement is Retro Movement everywhere, except for Instagram. They're the official Retro Movement. And we have an amazing new program. That's what's next. Talking about pivots this year, we just launched the program, our very successful award winning year-long program for women for leadership, which is called Step Up Women. We used to only have it available for large corporations, and now, for following popular demand, we decided to launch it for individuals, so you can get your own program and be part of this very powerful community while you're learning all of the different skills you need to get to the next level in your career.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm sure we will be seeing much more of the movement and you, and we're grateful for this time. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Of course. And thank you, Loves, for joining us on this episode of the AW Confidential Podcast. Talk to you soon.